Hey, today we're making
niggers.
First we have black.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty black.
Yeah. Next we have don't have a dad.
Don't have a dad? Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have eat watermelon and fried chicken.
Fried chicken,
Yeah.
watermelon? Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's yeah.
Next one is make good choices. Let's see.
There's nothing there. Next we have rob people.
Specifically whites. Yeah, they do that.
Last one is
go to jail.
You scared? I see your heartbeat. You're scared. I see your heartbeat. I'm right here. I see your heartbeat, nigga. What's that? I'm angry, bro. I'm angry. I got money to make. Weirdo. What's that? Cuz. Bitch ass nigga. You a
umbrella. She's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. Now, I don't know what it's going to take for us on a collective level to understand that we are at war. If hundreds of years of our blood being shed isn't enough, I don't know what it's going to take. And today, unlike generations before us, we also suffer from the illusion of inclusion. We went inside that burning building and we're still fighting for a seat at the table, even though everything around us is on fire. And just for a chance to have hope of getting a seat at the table, you have to compromise who you are. America and the world and the system itself made it radical for black people to talk about defending themselves. They say they fear that we might do something to justify actually doing what they fear that we might do. Yet when we talk about what was actually done to us, that is the hateful part. Because anything designed to empower us goes against the system. But it doesn't matter because at some point we have to start protecting ourselves. When people start to understand that it's consequences when they harm you, then they're going to start thinking twice about it. But if they know all you're going to do is cry and then march and then beg for justice and then still never get it, they have no fear and they feel like they can do whatever they want anytime. And so they try it. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, back in 1980, there was a riot. And it started after 3 KKK members drove down a street full of black businesses, now known as Martin Luther King Boulevard, and then these gang members deliberately opened fire on 5 elderly black women. Now, 4 of them were wounded, and another one was injured by flying glass because these thugs shot out her daughter's car windows. But then they took off after they shot at these 5 elderly black women. Now, eventually, these 3 Klan members were arrested. But then when it went to trial, an all-white jury acquitted them. Now, when the word about the verdict started to get out, people got mad and they started to come outside and protest. And eventually the police was sent in. But when they were sent in, they weren't expecting to be met with gunfire. So then for the next 3 nights, the people were fed up and they started rioting. They were using firebombs, overturning cars, looting stores. And when people say black people attack stores in their own community, it's not like they own those stores. They're attacking white-owned or other-owned businesses, not black-owned businesses. They're not burning down their own businesses like they try to portray it. And by the end of the riot, at least 9 cops were shot. And this was one of the few times that more cops got injured than protesters. And the people forced the police to start retreating. And in order to save face, they had to call in people like Jesse Jackson to propose an idea to black ministers and other volunteers to organize their own peace patrol to patrol their own neighborhoods instead of the police. Now, eventually, those 5 women did file the first ever lawsuit against the KKK in the case Crumsley versus Justice Knights of the KKK. And those black women eventually won using the KKK Act of 1871. But the point is, it doesn't matter if it's 1920, 1980, or today. We cannot continue to be getting caught off guard when we are at war. In Indiana, a brother Demarcus Walker was beaten to death by a random white boy at Walmart. Now let's go back and see what happened to this brother.
This all happened right over here. He says he didn't actually see the man get hit, but he heard it. And then he ran over, and when he got there, the suspect was beating the victim with a bat.
Yeah, that was part of our coverage live on Facebook Saturday at the Apple Glen Walmart. Tonight, for the first time, we're learning more about the victim, Demarcus Walker. Police say he's an innocent man who was simply out running some errands on a Saturday morning, and his family members say he stopped by the Walmart to just pick up a couple items.
Like we all do all the time, right? As he left, police say a man in a ski mask drove his car into Walker on purpose, then jumped out of the car and beat Walker with a bat. Police say it was random. The suspect had never met the victim before. Now the family wants answers about why.
When it's your family directly, it's a different type of pain.
Zykeria Walker says it was her dad who was beaten here in the Apple Glen Walmart parking lot, and she has some questions for the suspect.
It was 10-something in the morning, and why so early, why in that day, like what was going through her head.
One witness I talked with, who we're not showing his face, says he heard the impact when the suspect hit Walker with his car. He ran over to help, but he couldn't believe what happened next.
When out of nowhere, the guy started beating the guy on the ground with a metal bat.
The injury's so bad, Walker had to be flown down to an Indy hospital. He's still unable to talk and tell police or family what happened. Police arrested 21-year-old Levi Arnold from Bluffton. Zykeria says her family had never seen him before.
It was just sad to see my dad like that. It's just, I couldn't imagine something like that happening to my father. Like, why target my dad?
But she is not the only one trying to figure out why the suspect picked her dad to attack in this parking lot. Her family is now leaning on police and the NAACP.
We want justice, pure justice.
Larry Gist is on the local NAACP Legal Redress Committee. He says he's been in touch with the police chief.
You know, he's a fair man, and I told him that I have a special interest in this case because of the family.
They say they want the police to zero in on the suspect's motive.
I think it felt like it was a hate crime. It had to be. The way I understand is in the paper that he's walking around Walmart riding with a ski mask on looking for people to beat up.
In the meantime, Zykeria will travel back and forth to Indy to be by her father's side as he fights to recover.
That's my main concern right now, is my dad and my family to heal, especially him. And then after that, justice and the right sentencing.
A police spokesperson says they haven't turned up evidence that indicates this was a hate crime, but detectives, the family, and the NAACP say they will continue to press for more information.
Now, this was random, and it could have been any one of us. But this brother Demarcus Walker just went to Walmart on a Saturday morning to pick up a few things, just minding his business, doing whatever he had to do. And apparently this white boy, Levi Arnold, was just riding around the parking lot with a ski mask on. And somebody saw him and called 911. But then all of a sudden, this white boy just randomly swerved and hit this brother Demarcus Walker with his car. And then while this brother was on the ground, he got out of his car and started hitting his brother with a metal bat. And he kept hitting his brother until a witness, who happened to be armed, pulled out his gun. And this white boy just ran away. And like I always say, if somebody come into a community and they know everybody surrounding them, or a lot of people surrounding them is always strapped, they gonna start thinking twice about doing stuff like this. Because when you violate, it comes with repercussions. But then this white boy took off in his car, which didn't have any license plates on it, and was able to evade police in the parking lot. But eventually they caught him and they arrested him. And his brother Demarcus Walker was taken to the hospital, but eventually he died from his injuries.
First, though, an update tonight on a Fort Wayne tragedy. Demarcus Walker has died. He's the Fort Wayne man who was run over by a car in the Walmart parking lot. Police say the driver of that car did it on purpose. Then they say the driver beat Walker with a baseball bat. Fort Wayne's NBC reporter Louis Tran talked with family members today. He joins us live in the studio with an update on that. Louis?
Tom, Walker's brother tells me Walker was a family man who worked hard and cared for his family. He says the family wants justice and to understand why him. On Saturday, March 7th, this happened.
He heard a man get hit by a car.
Police say Levi Arnold drove his car into 44-year-old Demarcus Walker, then got out and beat Walker with a bat.
Couldn't believe it.
Saturday,
I got the phone call early.
Family members say Walker passed away after battling his injuries.
Indescribable to be able to put into words the amount of pain that everybody in my family and his friends are feeling right now.
That's Demarcus's younger brother, Derek Walker. He says his older brother was simply running an errand at Walmart.
Just to buy jogging pants and body wash.
When he got hit, he says he can't understand why this happened and why someone would do this to a complete stranger.
Who would do such a thing to a guy who doesn't bother anyone?
Walker says he looked up to his older brother, describing him as a family man.
His 2 daughters and his unborn child, who now have to grow up without a father.
A father who was willing to go the extra mile for his loved ones.
It doesn't matter if it was a sibling, whether it was an aunt, an uncle, a cousin. He'll drop whatever he's doing and he'll go help.
Willing to do anything to help. Now, his family's seeking answers and justice.
We just want proper justice. Proper justice and proper accountability. Make sure this does not fall to the wayside.
Again, family members and police say the suspect picked someone at random. The family believes hate was a motivation, and they say Demarcus's funeral service will take place tomorrow.
Now, no one seems to know why this white boy did this. He just randomly picked a black man to hit with a car and then get out and beat with a bat. And this white boy was eventually arrested and charged with resisting in a vehicle, aggravated assault, and attempted murder. Now, Demarcus Walker family want this white boy charged with a hate crime. But the police said they can't find any evidence that he's racist or that this incident was racialized in any way. They said since they haven't found any racist propaganda, they can't say that this was based off race in any kind of way. He just happened to choose a random black man to hit with his car. But because he doesn't have a Nazi symbol tattooed on his forehead, the police can't say it has anything to do with race at all.
The man beaten outside of a Fort Wayne Walmart in early March has died. 44-year-old Demarcus Walker passed away this morning, just over a month after he was beaten by a masked man in the parking lot of the Apple Glen Walmart. Fort Wayne police say the suspect, 21-year-old Levi Arnold, just snapped. Now, I spoke with Walker's father this morning, and he says this is a very, very painful loss.
My son means the world to me, and I love him. And I would do anything in the world for him. Or hurt real bad. It's bothering, it hurts. I'm losing my son. This is my second son I lost in 3 years.
The family told Fox 55 News last month that they believe that this was a hate crime and all they're hoping for is justice in his death.
He was beaten outside of a Fort Wayne Walmart last month. Now police say he is dead. Could that mean more charges for the man police say is responsible? Wayne 15's Brianna Brownlee joins us now with more.
Back in early March, Demarcus Walker was hit by a car and then beaten with a baseball bat outside of Apple Glen's Walmart. The victim was taken to the hospital where he was fighting for his life, but this past weekend he was confirmed dead. 21-year-old Levi Arnold was arrested and charged with an attempted murder. That day, police were called because of a report of a suspicious person that was driving around the parking lot in a burgundy Chevy Impala wearing a black ski mask. By the time police arrived, the suspect was gone. Earlier, I did speak with Fort Wayne's police department and asked if there will be any additional charges since the victim is now deceased. And according to FWPD, it is still too early to confirm.
Right now, we are going to wait until the coroner's report comes out. I know it sounds like kind of weird that we have to wait when that happens, but we have to apply legal principles to this, so we have to know what the cause of death was, and then we'll go over that with the prosecutor's office and find out if any additional charges or different charges are warranted.
Now, Sergeant Rosales Katina did say that she hopes the family receives the justice that they deserve. She also asked for the community to be patient.
Now, the only time America asks for patience is when our blood is shed. And now they're trying to go with the crazy white boy narrative, saying he just snapped. And this brother Demarcus Walker was fine at Walmart running some errands when he was randomly hit by a car, then beaten with a metal bat. But they're trying to act like they can't figure out how he died. I guess they're going to try to say it was some other cause. And they have to wait for the autopsy to determine if this was murder. And even though this brother died after this attack, I don't know if they ever upgraded the charges from attempted murder. They knew enough to charge him with attempted murder, but after he dies, they don't know enough to charge him with the actual murder. But that's because they stay on code, and they have to disassociate themselves in this day and age because they have to keep this illusion of inclusion. But it doesn't matter what other people say or think about us. We have to be ready to protect ourselves. Like that random witness who happened to be armed at Walmart, who stopped this beating from being even worse, even though this brother died. He would think twice before trying it in the first place if he knew several people were armed in that group. And when America starts seeing black people arming themselves in that rate, they change the laws around the Second Amendment. But at the end of the day, we are all we got. And until we start protecting ourselves, protecting each other, then the same things will keep happening over and over.
Morning. How are you, sir? Deputy Snell with the Sampson County Sheriff's Office. You got your license and registration on you?
I do.
Okay.
All right, may I ask what the stop is for, sir?
I'll let you know as soon as you give me your ID. Who you work for there? Your shirt.
Delmar Oil Company.
Delmar Oil Company?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long you been there?
May I ask why that is?
Well, I'm just talking to you. I see your shirt there. I'm just asking. Is it wrong to ask you questions about where you work?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what that has to do with the stop.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't want, just casual conversation, that's fine.
Since
I got you stopped here. You're driving 65, and speed limit 70. I'm just wondering what's wrong with me. Are you okay?
Other than.
You okay? You ain't
traveling 5 miles below the speed limit.
Yes, sir. I'm just checking on you. That's all I'm doing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You good?
I'm great.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm doing better than I deserve. Where are you coming from now?
Where am I coming from?
Yes, sir.
Goldsboro.
Goldsboro. Is that where the office is?
I'm trying to understand what's the relation.
Do what?
I'm trying to understand the relation to the traffic stop.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out where you're coming from, where you're going, mess like that.
So I have to identify where I'm traveling to and from during the traffic
stop?
stop?
Hang tight here just a minute, buddy.
I don't understand. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you telling me I gotta identify to you where I'm going to and coming from? Like, that don't make sense, bro. Yeah, like, and then shit in here, bro. Ain't nothing in here, so I'm not worried about that. But this shit is ridiculous, man. I'm tired of it. Every time I come down here, them boys do that shit. Every time I come down, and then I could have tell how he jumped behind me, like, bro, you tripping. You tripping, my nigga. Like, you tripping, dog. Word, this man wrote me a ticket, bro. Like, what could you possibly have wrote me a ticket for?
Yes, sir. Videos there. This here's a warning, okay? No court date, no fine, nothing like that. You can throw this paper away when you get to the house. Ain't nothing to really worry about, all right?
Okay, what was the warning for?
All right. Have a good day, all right?
What was the warning for, sir? I'm trying to understand what the warning is for.
It's for traveling under the speed limit, okay?
What, and how fast
you were traveling? Yes. What you say is kind of suspicious to travel under the speed limit when the speed limit is 70.
Well, from my perspective, I was traveling at 68.
I'm not going to argue. I got stuff to do, okay? Have a good day.
I did too when you stopped me, so I'm trying to understand. I'm trying
have
to,
a good morning.
so I don't make the same infraction. I'm trying to understand.
How you doing, sir?
How you doing, man?
You have your driver's license fingerprint on you?
What's going on?
I'd be happy to tell you once I see who I'm talking to, all right?
I need you to let me know, like, what's going on, like, what happened?
Like I said, I'd be happy to tell you once I see information.
I'm not giving you my information until you tell me what you pulling me over for.
All right, sir. Failure to give me my information is an arrestable offense, okay? So you can either do this the easy way or the hard way, all right?
I need to know what you're pulling me over for.
I'm going to tell you once I see information, all right?
I got information, but I'm not giving you my information until you tell me what you're pulling me over for.
Here's the deal. Either give me your ID or you go to jail. How about that?
Put this on camera, man, because you're not dealing with this.
Give me your ID.
I need to know why you pulling me over.
Give him your ID.
Detail 5 radio. I'll be on the stop, entrance to the parks. You send me another car. I have a uncooperative occupant. Last chance.
I need to know why you pulling me over.
Give him your ID. He's going to tell you what it is.
My tag's expired and my lights off.
I'd be happy to tell you, sir. Are you a lawyer, sir?
Hey, I'm representing myself right now.
Okay.
Because to be honest with you, I have a right to remain silent, right? So I could just sit here and ignore you.
No, you can't, sir.
I don't ask you any questions.
Okay. Well, it's going to turn out very poorly for you.
It's fine, but you're not telling me what's going on, and that ain't right.
I'm gonna tell you what the deal is. You're probably suspended, so you don't want to give me your license.
So, am I free to go?
No, you're not free to go. This is an investigatory stop, all right? All right, here's the deal.
For all I know, you could be trying to kill me right now.
You're absolutely ridiculous, all right?
I don't care.
All right, step out of the car.
It's been 2 minutes. I'm not stepping out the car until you tell me what's going on.
All right, open the door.
Hey, put this on camera. Put this on camera. You gotta let me know what's going on, man. You're not going there.
You're going to jail is what's going on.
For what? You ain't... What charges? On what charges? Wow.
Get out of the car now.
Get out my shit! Get out! Get it. Get out my shit! Get out! Get out my shit! Get out!
Get out of the car, man. Get out of the car.
Get out of the car! Get out! Let me get out the car!
Okay, get out. Get out of the car!
You ain't getting out of the car. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car. On the ground. Put your hand behind your back.
Me too.
Your hands, man. Put your hand behind your back.
At a meeting earlier this week, the Fort Lauderdale Police Department dropped a bombshell. The racist video and text messages exchanged by 4 police officers would not cause them to lose their law enforcement certifications. CBS 4's Carrie Cott has done some digging on this, and he joins us live outside the Fort Lauderdale Police Department with more. Carrie.
Rick, it all boils down to this: whether the officer's actions violated one of the moral character violations in this state statute. I called the Florida Department of Law Enforcement earlier today. They sent me this list, and on here it appears that none of the offenses listed in this state statute cover racism by officers. After seeing this racist video that we're told was created by former Fort Lauderdale police officer Alex Alvarez and a series of racist text messages shared between Alvarez and 3 other officers, many in the community assume that in addition to losing their jobs with the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, the officers would probably lose their law enforcement certifications as well. But the community learned at a Citizens Police Review Board meeting Monday that was not the case.
We were told, no, it's not considered a moral character violation because it's not one of the listed statutes.
Fort Lauderdale police say the Florida Department of Law Enforcement determined the officers' actions were not covered by a state statute concerning moral character violations that could lead to punishment or revocation of their certifications. That means that Officer Alex Alvarez, Officer Christopher Souza, Officer Jason Holding, and Officer James Wells could seek work elsewhere. Community activist Roosevelt Walters is incredulous.
If this doesn't rise to that occasion, I don't know what will.
Walters said he also cannot understand why the city of Fort Lauderdale hasn't sent the internal affairs documents to FDLE to let them review the case and see the allegations about the video and texts for themselves.
If they haven't got the paperwork, what do we expect for them to do?
Mayor Jack Seiler says the police department has every intention of sharing the details of their investigation with FDLE, but he believes no matter the outcome, this video and the texts mean those 4 officers have likely little chance of being hired anywhere.
If you're a mayor, if you're a police chief, if you're a city manager, and you look at the actions of these officers, they will not be working for your department.
For Roosevelt Walters, though, it's simple.
And we cannot have officers out here supposedly protecting us who hate us.
Mayor Seiler told me he would like to see this state statute amended to cover some sort of provision covering racism or discrimination by police officers. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, tells me they don't have any disciplinary cases regarding these 4 officers at this time, and that when and if they get the documents from Fort Lauderdale on this case, they will review all the allegations thoroughly.
Blue for the black,
and too black for the blue.
Shocking new allegations tonight out of the city of Warren, where a police officer says her brothers in blue refused to back her up on crime scenes because of the color of her skin. Officer Sheila Howlett has filed a lawsuit alleging multiple racial problems at the police department in a city where the mayor has been under fire for months.
We're talking about Jim Fouts, of course, accused of insensitive racial remarks. Defender Kevin Deitch joins us with an exclusive interview with Officer Howlett.
Growing up, Sheila Howlett was a good student and a good athlete who always wanted to be a police officer. First working for the city of Detroit, then Oak Park, before accepting an offer to be the first African-American police officer ever hired in the city of Warren.
I took on the challenge, and to be honest, I assumed that in time, if I had good work ethic and just being a decent overall person, that they would get to know me for me.
She never imagined that in the following 10 years, no other African-Americans would be hired. Warren is the third largest city in Michigan with 134,000 residents and more than 250 police officers. 13.5% of residents are African American, but Sheila Howlett is the only black police officer. She says from the start it wasn't easy, and instead of improving, it got worse. From racially insensitive remarks about African American names.
Why do you guys name your children ghetto names? And then the example will be given. DEESTINEE.
To racial remarks about food at lunch.
Hey, Howlett, what you got today? Chicken and ribs?
To racially charged stereotypes.
I was compared to the gorilla, and people just don't understand the history of a black person and why that's so demeaning.
Officer Howlett persevered until she realized her life might be in danger. She was warned by a dispatcher that other officers were slow to give her backup on crime scenes.
So the cavalry's coming for everyone else as fast as possible. And so it's like the grace of God that when I was out there, that I hadn't been hurt.
The final straw, a coworker using the N-word in front of her when an African-American resident was upset in the lobby.
She started screaming, that N-word, that N-word. She was like, he would have killed me if the bulletproof glass wasn't there.
Then that coworker realized Sheila was in the room.
So after I looked back at her, she was like, but not you.
Officer Howlett says it hurts, physically, mentally, emotionally.
I started to sweat, my heart started beating really fast because it was just so overwhelming.
Sheila Howlett says she just wants to answer her calling to be a police officer, to help make the community safer while working in a department that doesn't see black or white, only blue.
To make myself so small for them is a horrible thing to admit and say, that I've allowed myself to be tolerated.
Officer Howlett says she had hoped that she would be able to break down racial barriers in the city of Warren and open doors for others. Now she says her lawsuit will force the city to hire more minorities and to be more accepting of everyone.
New recordings leaked today, allegedly of Warren Mayor Jim Fouts saying terrible things about African Americans and women.
Of course, this just weeks after the other controversial recordings in which he allegedly was ripping people with disabilities. Tonight, Fouts says it is not him.
Mara McDonald is live tonight with new information on this leak. Mara, what have you learned?
Good evening to you, Karen, and Devin and I can confirm this for you. The person who recorded Mayor Fouts in his office for that first leak is not the person who recorded this, which tells us one key thing. Before all this, we knew that there were 3 people who said they had audio tapes of the mayor. Now we've got an unknown 4th.
If the sound bites are really his voice, yeah, he's in trouble.
The second round of trouble hit just as Mayor Fouts was in public at an MLK event in Warren. The audio recordings were leaked to MotorCityMuckraker.com, turning the event into chaos.
Did you consider us as black chimpanzees?
On these audio clips, a voice which sounds like Fouts uses the N-word.
I remember this one kid in my class, I told you some years ago, he said, we have a party store. He says, my dad have rules. What are they? Only 2 at a time.
Goes on to say black people are like chimpanzees.
You know, blacks do look like chimpanzees. I was watching this black woman with her daughter, and they look like 2 chimps. They're mouths were elongated out, duckish look.
In a Facebook rant, Fouts says this isn't him. An audio expert we went to says it's inconclusive, simply because the samples are not large and we don't have the original recordings to listen to. I have been told the person who recorded this is a former employee, and these are excerpts of conversations recorded over a period of time. The source of these audio leaks is not the same as the first, and it leaves the people who live here just shaking their heads. Pastor Mo Hardwick, who had a one-on-one with Fouts when the first audio recording was leaked, is absolutely furious after this second one.
This man not only needs to be out of office, he needs to be locked up in a cage. He needs a mental institution. There's something wrong with this mayor.
It's too close to home for Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. CBS 46's Bobeth Yates has the hate-filled message sent to the mayor and to her 12-year-old son.
Imagine picking up your phone only to find a message that threatens your very being. That's what Mayor Bottoms says happened to her, but she says she will not let it threaten her to reopen the city prematurely.
I had a very long conversation with Ambassador Young this morning. And he just reminded me that white supremacy is a sickness.
During the commission meeting, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms addressed a shocking tweet she received calling her the N-word. The message, which came from the email reopen@georgia.gov, went on to say shut up and reopen Atlanta. But it wasn't just the offensive wording in the message that caught the mayor off guard.
Not only did I receive it, but my 12-year-old son received it as well, so that was more concerning to me.
But the mayor and her son weren't the only ones exposed to the graphic message. In her reply, she wrote, "With my daughter looking over my shoulder, I received this message to my phone. I pray for you." She then went on to quote Dr. Martin Luther King, saying conscientious stupidity or sincere ignorance. So CBS 46 reached out to Reopen Georgia. And while they did speak to me over the phone, they declined an interview, but sent the following statement. #Reopen Georgia is appalled to learn a text with a racist message was sent to Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms in our name. Not only did we not send the apparent message, but we stand together with Mayor Bottoms in condemning racism and hate speech. As for Mayor Bottoms, she says this threat won't stop her.
Cowards don't run for office, so I will continue to use my voice to speak on behalf of our community. Children should be off limits as it relates to any and everything.
We're told officials are looking into the matter to figure out exactly where the message came from.
The Miami Police Department is under fire after a video surfaced of an officer handcuffing and detaining an African-American doctor outside his home on Friday. The man, Armin Anderson, was wearing a mask and preparing for a volunteer shift, helping protect homeless people from the spread of COVID-19 when a patrol car pulled up to his home. Surveillance video from Dr. Henderson's house shows him loading a van with supplies before the encounter. Dr. Henderson says the police officer handcuffed him after accusing him of littering and then asking for identification, which Henderson did not have on him. The officer was not wearing a mask. Dr. Henderson was. He had to yell to his wife inside their home to present identification before the officer finally released him. On Saturday, Miami Police Chief has ordered an internal investigation into the incident. The officer involved has not been identified. The encounter sparked widespread outrage and comes as African-American men report fears of increased racial profiling when they're following the CDC's suggestion that people wear masks in public.
You're not allowed to go in? Well, I can go in. You can? Yeah, excuse me. I can go in and they cannot. Come on. They can. Right? Leave them okay. Okay. Oh my God. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Really. Oh my God.
City leaders in southern China are denying allegations of coronavirus racism, insisting that foreigners are not being discriminated against. Africans living in Guangzhou say that they're being kicked out of their homes and face harassment as health workers step up testing for imported infections. The African Union, Nigeria and Ghana are calling on the Chinese government to address concerns. Professor Keith Richburg is the director of the Journalism and Media Studies Center at the University of Hong Kong. He says there has been discrimination against Africans living in China for some time now.
Ever since Xi Jinping announced that the virus was essentially contained in China and that they could start reopening businesses and reopening factories, the numbers have been going up, but they've been blaming all of those new numbers, those new cases and the new deaths in China on what they call imported cases, meaning that they've contained it in China, but people coming back into the country are bringing it along. It smacks a bit of xenophobia to me, because number one, most of these so-called imported cases are Chinese nationals who left at Chinese New Year and are just now returning or returning from schools abroad, et cetera. So these aren't foreigners, these are Chinese who are bringing in with the virus. And secondly, they've been given really no statistics to prove that the real numbers of people coming in with the virus are actually foreigners at all. But that's kind of the narrative or the storyline that they'd like to say, is that all of these new cases are all from foreigners. They've even restricted foreign diplomats from coming back into Beijing, for example. China has always had this kind of complex relationship with Africa, whereas officially, they see the African countries as brothers. Lately, China has put a lot of development money into Africa. They built the African Union headquarters. They built the railroad from Nairobi to Mombasa. But and as a consequence of these, tens of thousands or millions of Chinese living in Africa, you also have a lot of African traders, African students who have gone over to China. And so, officially, on an official level, there's this kind of feeling of fraternity. On the ground level, people to people, the Chinese simply don't like them very much. They're basically there's a lot of racism. I've been to Guangzhou. I've been to that area that they call Little Africa, or more derogatory, they call it the Chocolate City. The Africans tell me they feel discriminated against by the Chinese.
Oh.
Brenda Diaz at the adult triage window. Brenda Diaz at the adult triage window.
When you go Bruce with the ass over, I'll clean your front clock. All that talking on your shit ain't finna work. Right here, yeah.
Oh.
You ain't doing nothing. You called me out, so stand up. I called you out. No, you didn't. Stand up. You sat your ass down. That's what you did. If you called me out, you would stand up.
Oh.
Nigga, I'm real about mine. Hey, look. I'm real about mine. Where you go, man?
Sedate that motherfucker right there. Sedate his ass. I got everything on tape. Sedate him. Sedate him. Sedate the nigga. Him, right there, down here. Yup, get that one.
Hang on.
You see why this is why. These motherfuckers want to act like acting like a real like, damn. Ain't nobody even said nothing to you, sir. Sedate him.
Just chill. Relax. It's enough. Be quiet. You need to come over here now. It's enough. Come over here now. Come over here. Every stop in over here, look at me, stand up. I go over and he's looking at me, the same shit. No. You're just acting out. Never sit. Hang on. Don't look. I'm trying to keep you from now. I'm doing. No, come on. You're acting. We've separated. You've been watching me. Look at me. From over there, right over here. Staring at me. Stop watching me. It's not. I'm not saying you did anything wrong.
All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, it is important that we start teaching our children the situation that we are in and the dangers they face in the world. We cannot send them in environments without preparing them first. Because if we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over. Now, Ida B. Wells broke down the lynch law back in the 1800s. How the dominant society used white women as a means to attack the black community. But if we don't learn this ourselves and teach it to our children, then we are putting them in dangerous situations. And despite what history has shown us, we still give white women a pass and let them play both sides of the fence. They benefit from white supremacy, maybe the most, but then we turn around and let them benefit from whatever we do. But they help maintain this system as much, if not more, than anybody else. Back in the 1800s, Ida B. Wells' friend was lynched for having a consensual relationship with a white woman. And we know about cases like Emmett Till. And we know about cases like the Central Park Five. But even before that, there were cases like the Scottsboro Boys. There were so many people lynched, mostly because of white women, that Ida B. Wells made a book about it in the 1800s, The Red Record. But today, we still act clueless, as if we are not in war right now. And it's important that we teach our kids that even if they think that boy or girl that they're dealing with isn't like that, they don't know who their family is or what they're capable of. And as parents, you have to think twice about that yourself. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, a 19-year-old, Jeremy Lake, was shot and killed by his girlfriend's parents. Now let's see what led this white girl's parents to end up shooting and killing this 19-year-old.
Teenage daughter of the police officers, the victim's girlfriend, is speaking out.
10 News reporter Brandon Richard continues our team coverage, and he's joining us with her side of the story. Brandon?
Outside this house with her boyfriend last night. It's actually her boyfriend's house. She says they were only outside for a few minutes before her father showed up, and that's when she says everything changed.
He was my everything.
Lisa Kepler says she met 19-year-old Jeremy Lake a week ago after her parents kicked her out and dropped her off at a homeless shelter. She says the two of them shared an instant connection.
He was just really sweet and caring, and he didn't pretend.
The 18-year-old tells us Jeremy's family let her live with them. And that's where she says she was on Tuesday night, when she says her father, Tulsa police officer Shannon Kepler, showed up.
He asked me what the hell I was doing out here, as if he didn't know that he kicked me out a week ago. There was no argument. I walked away and Jeremy tried to introduce himself, and my dad shot him. God.
Police arrested Lisa's father for Jeremy's murder. They arrested her mother, Gina, for accessory after the fact.
They're both police officers. I don't know what could have led them to do this. They didn't even know Jeremy.
Jeremy's family describes him as a man who never met a stranger, who dreamed of one day joining the Army.
Jeremy was very well loved. He had a lot of compassion for the people on the streets.
Now those who loved him mourn his loss.
Now, first of all, let me say this. Jeremy Lake is biracial. He may be even 3/4 white. And I do think the one drop rule in the biracial conversation is something that we need to have. But the point of this case, and they made this trial about a white father killing his daughter's black boyfriend. And he probably did shoot him because in his eyes, he did see him as black, or at least non-white. And to them, it is true that one drop of black blood makes you not white. It makes you black, even though their reality doesn't necessarily have to be ours. But the point is, he most likely did shoot Jeremy Lake because his daughter was dating a black boyfriend. And this happens time and time again. Now, in this case, there are conflicting stories. This white girl said her adoptive parents kicked her out of the house, but they said she ran away. But either way, she met Jeremy Lake just a week before all of this stuff happened. So after only knowing this white girl for about a week, for some reason, his family let this white girl stay with them. Now, keep in mind, Jeremy Lake does have a white mom and a white brother and all that. But who let somebody you just met a week ago come live at your house? So then somehow this white girl adopted dad, Shannon Kepler, found out where Jeremy Lake lived. And he drove over there in his wife's car, Gina Kepler, with a revolver. Now, Shannon Kepler, who was a cop, didn't go over there with his police-issued gun. He took his personal gun, which showed he most likely planned to use it. So Shannon Kepler, who was supposed to be a cop, pulled up at this 19-year-old Jeremy Lake house and waited for him and his white girl to walk up. And then he started yelling at her, "What the hell are you doing?" Now again, the stories started conflicting each other. This white boy said he got into an argument with his adopted daughter and Jeremy Lake tried to step in between. But this white girl said she was ignoring him and walking away. And then she said Jeremy Lake went to introduce himself. And then all of a sudden, this white boy, Shannon Kepler, fired 3 shots, shooting him in the neck and the chest. And then he shot 2 more times and almost hit this white girl and a 12-year-old who was just sitting on the porch. Jeremy Lake ended up dying on the spot, and his white boy Shannon Kepler just sped off, essentially in a drive-by. Now, it turns out that not only Shannon Kepler is a cop, but so is his wife Gina Kepler. She is also a cop. And even though the police, especially in Tulsa, stay on code and seem to keep it in the house, they were forced to arrest both Shannon and Gina Kepler.
A Tulsa police officer out of jail after posting an $825,000 bond. 2 News first to break this just before 8 to our viewers who signed up for mobile push alerts. Reporter Liz Bryant following the story all day live at the bond hearing.
Good evening, Karen. Shannon Kepler walked out of this Tulsa County jail around 7 tonight. His wife picked him up. They stood there and embraced. They hugged for just a little while. Now, Shannon's been in an isolation cell all by himself for his own safety for more than 2 weeks. His hair grown out, greasy, sporting a gray beard. As Gina Kepler walked into court, she kept smiling at husband Shannon. His attorney believes this case will take years.
My client is a caring father, and he's a loving member of the community. He's never had a bobble in his life.
He was my everything.
Days after the shooting of her boyfriend, daughter Lisa moved on, now living with someone else in Owasso. Kepler's attorney accused Lisa of lying, changing her story all the time on TV, and not even seeing what happened that night because she walked away, they said.
I don't think much of the lawsuit. I don't think much of these people that want to be on TV. I don't think much of the facts of this particular case, and I do think a great deal of our defense.
Prosecutors paint Kepler as intending to do this, pointing to gunshots in the boyfriend's neck and chest, then Kepler driving off, never calling 911, and hiding the getaway SUV. They also say a police report found inside Shannon's home shows where to find the boyfriend and that he's been in trouble for assault.
If I went in and asked for no bond, we would have had a bond set anyway. So I have to look at it and say, all right, with this court, what's going to happen?
Eventually, Gina forced to leave court and stand in the hallway, caught talking to her husband.
Former Tulsa police officer said he did not mean to kill his daughter's boyfriend. Fox 23 sent a push alert to your phone when the defense for Shannon Kepler rested its case today after he took the stand in his own defense. Fox 23's Ashley Lincoln spent the day inside that courtroom. She's live now with the reason Kepler thought his daughter's boyfriend was a threat.
Shay Kepler revealed details about his relationship with his daughter today. He also told the jury about information he found out about Jeremy Lake that led him to assume Lake was dangerous. It's information Shannon Kepler said he had to break the law to get in order to protect his daughter.
He viewed her as being in a perilous situation.
Kepler testified after he found out about his daughter's relationship with Jeremy Lake, he ran Lake's information in the Tulsa Police Department's criminal database. And there, Kepler found Lake had been arrested for assault, but was never charged. Kepler told the jury he continued looking into Lake's background and found he was friends with several behavioral counselors on his Facebook page.
Nothing in there that was spoken about that was untrue.
The state said the defense went to great lengths to try to vilify the victim.
People can say a lot of things about a lot of people, but ultimately what's provable is what's important.
Kepler told the court he thought his daughter Lisa would be happy to meet him when he went to Lake's house. Kepler's attorney said although they revealed this information, he's still adamant his client isn't getting a fair trial.
I will say very honestly, I don't think he's getting a fair trial by a long stretch.
Why not?
Well, lots of reasons. I can't talk about them.
Now, this white boy, Shannon Kepler, who was supposed to be a cop, essentially did a drive-by on Jeremy Lake at his own house, even though he was unarmed. And he still tried to claim self-defense. He said he was just trying to protect his daughter, who was in a bad neighborhood, even though she came there on her own, and he is the one who actually committed murder. And then one witness said his wife Gina Kepler was in the car, and they said she was the one that they heard say shoot. They did arrest her for not cooperating with the investigation, but of course they dropped all the charges because the Tulsa Police Department has a reputation of protecting white women like her and Betty Shelby. But after a Facebook post this white girl put up, they used their police connections to illegally try to find out information about him and to find out where he lived. And he tried to use a non-existent criminal history to justify murdering him. Now, it did take 4 trials after they had 3 mistrials, but eventually in the 4th trial, he was convicted, but it was only for manslaughter.
Juror wants to remain anonymous, but they tell Two Works For You they believe there was enough evidence to prove that Kepler was guilty. The juror posted on Facebook saying, quote, "Justice was not served to this young boy only because 2 people could not look past their own prejudice towards black people." They say the jury couldn't come to a decision after hours of deliberation. The juror says it came down to 2 people who couldn't get on board with everyone else.
Former Tulsa police officer Shannon Kepler is spending his first day in jail. A jury convicted him of manslaughter late last night after 3 previous mistrials. They recommended he spend 15 years in prison for shooting and killing his daughter's boyfriend, Jeremy Lake, back in 2014. Two Works For You reporter Micah Hatfield joins us outside of where Kepler is being housed, and authorities plan to make special considerations for his safety.
Because Shannon Kepler is a former police officer, he's considered a high-risk inmate. The jail has a certain protocol for people that fall under that category. They're kept away from the general population for their safety. Jeremy Lake's family is just glad there's some conclusion in this case.
It is partial closure to find that this is resolved and we don't have to do this anymore and everything will go on.
Lake's father says the outcome shows people of all walks of life can get justice. In this case, justice his family and son deserved. On the other side, cries heard from Kepler's family. Defense attorney Richard O'Carroll also not pleased with the outcome, saying if they take enough shots at you, they're going to hit you.
My heart goes out to the Kepler family, and I just don't feel like the process was fair in the final analysis. It's simply a prosecution for somebody who killed another human being.
O'Carroll says the state made the case about race, calling it all very political.
Was Shannon the scapegoat? There are more black African Americans per capita in the state of Oklahoma, any state in the union. And this is going to be the Band-Aid they put on top of it. It's a sham. Anybody who's dealt with Mr. O'Carroll totally understands everything that comes out of his mouth. It's unpredictable. No matter what, he's gonna look at the sun and he's gonna say that's not the sun that's up in the sky, and he's gonna tell you that the sky is gray when the sky is blue.
Kunzweiler says the fact that his office tried this case 4 times to get a verdict for Jeremy Lake's family shows they are going to pursue justice. The defense says they plan to file an appeal.
Now, even though this cop essentially did a drive-by shooting on somebody who was unarmed, it took 4 trials to convict them of only manslaughter. This white boy even tried to use the defense that he was a Native American and could not be tried in court. And they only had 1 black juror in multiple trials. And even one juror came out and said there were racist people on the jury. And that's why they kept getting mistrials, because so many of them have the same mindset. God forbid their daughter comes home with a black man. And his wife, Gina Kepler, was never charged at all and is still on the streets patrolling in the same department that had other white women like Betty Shelby. And this 19-year-old Jeremy Lake only knew this white girl for 1 week, and he ended up getting killed. Meanwhile, this white girl just moved on to the next person. And even though Jeremy Lake is a biracial and he may even be 3/4 white, this needs to be a lesson to black children, especially black boys, but all black children. You don't know what kind of family that person has, even if you think that person is not capable. But you need to understand that they are fully capable of doing the same thing. And after something bad happens to you, they have no problem moving on. And anytime they want to change and go back to the dominant society, all they got to do is say you influenced them. And no matter what she did, it goes right back to protect the innocent little white girl. But we have to understand that we are all we got, and we have to protect ourselves. We have to protect our women, our children, especially their minds. Because if we don't get control of our children's minds, then we'll continue to make the same mistakes over and over. We have to find a way to let go of our tribalisms and our petty differences and get on code. Because we are the only ones that can change our situation.
Nigga. Nigga. Fucking nigga. One, you get a grip because Liv said fucking nigga. 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 What are you gonna fucking do? These people are starting on us because Liv said nigger.
Get the fuck over yourself, man. It's a fucking word. Jesus Christ.
Literally.
It's not fucking racist. I'm right, yeah. I've got a black cousin. I say it.
Do I have any?
She doesn't have to.
Yes. Who?
To chill because you're all getting mouthy over the fucking pettiest word ever.
Why the fuck you saying the N word for? Shut the fuck
Great,
up.
she's
It's a
threatening
word.
to beat you up.
Look,
Look,
this is a nigger shoe. And guess what? Nigger.
Don't you think we already know that?
Nigger.
What you
Nigger. I'll beat your ass, nigger.
An East Valley teen is under fire after posting a racist TikTok video that went viral. Now she's saying she's sorry. But it's not the first case of racism in a Valley high school. So a lot of people are wondering now, will Gilbert High School punish this young lady? Team 12's Rachel Cole joins us with the details. Rachel?
Hey there, it appears the teen who posted the TikTok has deleted her account, but not before a Twitter user could capture it. A post that now has more than 4 million views.
Ladies, hot.
In the TikTok, the teen's on-screen text refers to cops, African Americans, and then a reference to the 3/5 compromise. And it appears she's in a cotton field, which both date back to slavery.
I'm sorry for putting out that video in the first place. I should have realized that it was wrong.
Now, the teen who is a student at Campo Verde High School in Gilbert is apologizing and explaining.
I didn't mean for it to come off as racist, even though considering the context of it, I didn't mean it like that. I was just doing a TikTok trend.
Communication expert Eric Bailey says for teens, they oftentimes don't think about the long-term consequences.
The young lady at the time wasn't thinking about rational thought. She was thinking about, ooh, this is going to give me the most likes. Likes equals a dopamine release. Dopamine release equals that feels good. And so that's how those things perpetrate.
This isn't the first time we've seen racist claims involving Valley students. Back in 2016, seniors at Desert Vista in Ahwatukee stood with the N-word on their T-shirts during an on-campus photo shoot, trying to create an inside joke that quickly spread.
A lot of people will say, well, I'm not racist. I didn't mean for it to be racist, so it's not racist. Unfortunately, that's not the way that things work. You don't need intent to actually to do a racist act or say racist words.
In the Desert Vista case, the district suspended the seniors for 10 days. As for the teen at Campo Verde High School, the school says it's investigating, and the behavior displayed in this video is not representative of our district or Campo Verde High. The teen claims she didn't think the clip would garner so much attention.
My actions aren't okay, and anything I'll say won't justify what I did.
I can see it. You can't hear me? Hey, wow, big.
Kyle, you're talking to everyone, bud.
Yeah, we heard that.
Oh, damn, you did not just
Yikes.
don't say anything.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm sorry. Last night I made a mistake and said the word that should never, ever be said. And, there's no excuse for that. I wasn't raised that way. It's just an awful thing to say. And I feel very sorry for my family, my friends, my partners, the NASCAR community, and especially the African American community. I understand the damage is probably unrepairable, and I own up to that. But I just wanted to let you all know how sorry I am, and I hope everybody is staying safe during these crazy times. Thank you.
Sir, you committed a crime. You assaulted me. You should wait for the cops. You should wait for the cops. You're funny. You're funny. Keep going. Keep trying to scare me. I'm not easily scared like that, bro. You're crazy. You're crazy. Come and try and throw a bun at me now.
This one.
Yeah.
You better relax.
Yeah, come.
Okay.
Do it again.
I didn't do anything.
You threw a bun at me. You tried to
I
assault
didn't
me.
do anything.
I know, but then you threw a bun at me. All I was doing was talking to you. Now you took it physical. Why you threw a bun at me, bro? I dare you to do it again. I dare you to do it again. You're silly, bro. The bun is right there in the street. The birds are eating it. You threw a bun at me, bro.
Then call the police.
Do it again. I tried to, but they were traffic. They were traffic. I know. So try and hit me now. Do it, you crazy ass. You got kids in the car. Your whole life will be done for. Unless you don't care, unless you're really crazy, we'll both go out right now. We'll both go out right now. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, fuck up your kid's life and hit me.
Sure, you're gonna put down fucking Facebook, Twitter,
You're
whatever.
a crazy father, yo. You got 2 kids in the back. I thought it was 1. You got 2 kids in the back, and you're assaulting me, throwing shit at me because I honked at you for the bike lane. Coming off the sidewalk out of Paradise, you got buckets of shit for your kids, and you walk in the bike lane. Come. Pussy ass motherfucker. Yeah, go ahead, do something. Do something, it's taping. I'll catch your fucking insurance. Go ahead, bitch. Go ahead, bitch. Hit my bike, go ahead. Come on, bro. Oh, okay. I'm the type to expose all of your fucking crazy asses. You think you can bully everybody in the fucking world, right? You think you can bully everybody in the fucking world, right? You bitch ass. You lucky you got fucking kids in the back, and I got more morals than you. You fucking care. Shut the fuck up, bro. I was fucking driving in a bike lane, and you're in a fucking bike lane, and I honked for you, you bitch ass. And you said, why didn't I go around you? And I did go around you. Why the fuck are you trying to lie to people? You fucking fraud. You fucking fraud. Fuck you, Joe. Because you don't care about your kids. You really wanna not just drive off. You got kids in the back. I could be cursing and everything. You don't give a fuck, right? You're crazy, bro. You're a fucking crazy ass. You're crazy. I'm sorry for you, child. You probably don't even understand. Let's see. Let's see what you want to do. You threw a bun at me. That's physical. Let's see what you want to do. You approached me like 2 times. Let's see what you want to do. Your fucking plausible deniability. Y'all fuckers, you fucking liars. What are you smiling for like it's a joke? The fuck? Y'all are fucking liars. You fucking frauds. And if you don't know, then understand how bad your people fucked the whole world up to make someone sound like this. You didn't, but your fucking family did. And the shit that you live in your life allows you to laugh with this for whatever reason. You should be serious. You should be serious if you didn't have nothing to do with it morally. You should be fucking serious. Yo, I hope that's not your store. I'm gonna find out, bro, because you're a fucking... Oh, wow, that's your store? You're crazy. You're crazy. I have him on record being fucking crazy. What do you mean, what do I mean? Why don't you ask me what happened? You fucking denying bitch. You're his fucking wife. Do it.
What did you say?
Do it.
Why would you call her like that?
What happened? I'm backing up from you, too.
Did you record
I'm backing
that?
up from you, too. Come on.
Okay, then.
Come on. Yeah. Come on, I'm backing up from you, too. I study law. Come on, do it. I'm waiting for you to hit me. I'm waiting for you. You're fucking retarded. You got kids in the back. I'm not pussy. I just study law, bro. I'd have punched you in your face long time ago. I'd have punched you in your face long time ago. You can call the cops. I had it all recorded. I called the cops myself. You fucking crazy father. I should report you for endangering children. The fucking birds behind you are eating a bun that he threw at me. The birds behind you, miss, on the 911 phone call, the birds are eating a fucking croissant that your husband threw at me from the Paradise shop that he owns on fucking 12th and 4th Avenue. I didn't know he was a fucking shop owner, but he just closed the shop. Go ahead and make the 911 call. I know, you did. Stupid ass. I'm a nigga, you're a fucking fucked up, morally fucked up person. See how long I had to fucking try and find the right words because I don't have it in me to call you fucking names like you do with your fucking children in the back. You called me a fucking nigga. I'm trying to come back at you because you fucked up the whole thing. You're in a bike lane. I honked out your way. You threw a fucking bun at me that birds you're eating right now. Are you serious? Hit my bike. I dare you. Don't look so weird. You know how fucked up your race is. Don't look so weird. Because that weird look makes me feel like I did something wrong. And I did it. There's a fucking white man that you just wanted to look at and see what the fuck was going on with a black man. Get the fuck out of here. You white people haven't been told shit forever. The fuck out of here.
Racist Snapchat messages featuring the N-word, a burning cross, and the symbol of the Ku Klux Klan spreading through Lexington High School Friday. In one message, kids can be heard using the N-word in a song.
Unfortunately, I was not surprised, and that was probably the worst thing.
Letha Prespo's daughter called her crying when she saw the messages.
This should never happen, but particularly not this day and age. But this is not the first incident, and this is not the first time it's happened.
In a statement, Lexington High School Superintendent Dr. Julie Hackett tells News Center 5 they are aware of the social media postings that appeared to happen outside of school, and that we have reported these issues to the Lexington Human Rights Commission and the Lexington Police Department.
Unfortunately, social media and technology has taken away the human factor to relationships.
Pastor Brent Miracle works as a liaison with the Human Rights Commission. He says conversations need to be had not just with the students in the messages, but with the entire community about treating others with respect and dignity.
For teenagers, it's all the more important. We have to point out that this is not acceptable because of the diminishment of a human person.
I think the more you keep something silent, that's when it festers, and that's when it becomes a real problem.
And Letha Prespo says she would like to see a mandatory class or seminar for all students here at Lexington High School dealing with race. She says the only class like that is currently an elective for juniors and seniors.
The University of South Carolina is investigating now after a group of African-American students was subjected to racist insults on a video conference call tonight. It was during a Zoom call that involved members of the Association of African-American Students. The group was doing a virtual version of their annual end-of-year cookout. They were doing it via Zoom because of the virus. The group posted on Twitter that during the event, several unknown people entered the call. Those persons were wearing blackface, then began using racial slurs, and one of them had a background of a Nazi flag. USC President Bob Caslen says what happened is absolutely unacceptable and disgusting. He says he can't apologize enough to the University of South Carolina students who witnessed what he called such ignorance while gathering to fellowship with one another during this unprecedented time. University leaders are aware, they say, and are investigating. Now, this practice of joining virtual conference calls to disrupt the event or cause chaos has become known as Zoom bombing. It's become more prevalent as more people practice social distancing.
I want to go to the other country to work 3 months. In summer holiday, American, but I know American do not give me the chance to have the opportunity. I want to learn the other things, the other let the other people to work because I don't have enough money, so I must work.
They don't like that, but it's too tough.
If we work together, let's get this place back up just like that.
Niggas.
Yeah.
All my niggas.
Yeah.
Ride on that for niggas.
Yeah.
I know my niggas. My family's full of niggas. I love the fucking niggas. You want to throw the shit on my face, bro?
Bob, what are you going to this shit? And the shit is bold though. My shit is worth more money than your fucking shit is, my nigga. My shit is worth more money than you. Fuck out of here, nigga. And I said sorry. Fuck out of here, nigga. Fuck out of here, nigga. My shit is worth more money than you fucking shit. That's not true. No, my shit is worth more money than you shit. My shit is worth more money than you shit. Fuck out of here, nigga. And we did.
And I say, excuse me, what else you need, bro? I'm going to knock you out. No, you're not going to knock me out. So get him out. Get him out. Because he's recording. I know niggas can verbalize on my shit. Get him out.
Thank you, man.
Now you pussy, nigga. No, you pussy, nigga. You a pussy ass nigga. Leave him alone. You pussy ass nigga. Don't go through the door. Don't the door. Leave it. Hello. Eat pussy. Hello. Yo, you need to chill the fuck out. Fucking stupid ass nigga. Fucking pussy ass nigga.
All right, and we back on the forecast. And I want to say RP to the brother Demarcus Walker and to Jeremy Lake and to all our people who have suffered injustice. At some point, we're going to have to realize the situation that we are in. And it doesn't matter how afraid we may be, how hard it may seem. Until we get up and actually start doing something, then our blood is going to continue to be shed. And if protecting our children, not only physically, but also mentally, isn't enough motivation, I don't know what it's going to take. We don't have any other choice but to rebuild our own institutions. We have to find a way to get out of the burning house, and we don't have to save everybody else before we get out. Because believe me, they will be standing on the outside with a shotgun, forcing you back in the house. And until we realize we are all we got, then we're going to continue to make the same mistakes. And if we don't learn our history, then it's going to continue to be easy for them to instill self-hate into us. But while we're in this position, we can't afford to have these issues. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're going to keep falling for anything.